Won't Become Boring can now be found on the Apple Podcast app, along with Spotify, YouTube, and RSS.com. If you want to get into contact with us, won'tbecomeboring@gmail.com. If you have any questions, we have questions as well. If you have any suggestions, we would love them because we are learning as we go. And we just want to hear from you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. This is episode 3 with Landon Sykes.
Because I'm currently still a master's student, so I'm still in school. I am entering my last semester, and I'll be getting a master's in counseling psychology from the University of Central Oklahoma, and then which is a 3-year degree. And I've also been doing what the ABA track, Applied Behavioral Analysis.
Okay.
So on graduation, for both those career paths, you have to kind of basically accrue hours.
Yeah.
So assuming that aspect's done, I will be able to be either a licensed counselor, psychological counselor, LPC, or a board certified behavioral analyst, BCBA. I'm planning on going
Board certified behavioral
analyst. Assuming
Who's this board, man?
The ABA board.
Okay.
Like it's literally just a national certification organization.
Cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
Cool.
No, you're good. But like kind of like you know how lawyers have the bar exam.
Yeah.
I kind of would have to take a similar one for those.
Mm.
And then I get the license kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, so those are kind of the two options that I'm going down. But
Cool. So you already explained it right there. So
yeah.
We'll probably
I'm just not there yet. I'm not fully through it all.
Yeah. Well, how long has it been? Because I know you've been going to school for a bit. Haven't you?
Undergrad took me 4 years, and that was in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I got a minor in business while I was there as well. Just
business.
dude. Well, okay. So at the time, I was wanting to be a private practice counselor for people with special needs. But as I got through the counseling program, first year in grad school was in the general psychology program because I didn't get into the counseling program the first time. But, you know, I had a dream and I didn't really want to give up on it yet. So I just entered the general, took some classes, which I don't want to go too much on a side tangent.
Mm-hmm. No,
but,
go for it.
Okay, so I was one of the largest dumb butts to ever exist. In general, we pretty much just picked our classes, you know, in the general program. And so I picked cognitive psychology as one of the classes, which is kind of why I know about memory and shit.
Yeah.
You guys don't mind cursing, right? On this?
No.
Okay.
No, you're good.
I'm pretty sure. I was like, crap. Yeah. But anyways, so I took cognitive psychology at the master's level. Dr. Hancock was my professor.
Is that the curse word you're worried about? It's okay to say cock on here. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Dr. Hancock is a wonderful man.
Shouts out.
But he specializes in memory research and shit. Okay. So he's one of those teachers who's very strict, but very willing to help.
Okay.
Now, I'll just be straight up. I only got like a 78, 79 on this class or something, so I got a C. Not good.
C's get degrees.
No, not in grad.
Yeah.
I'm only allowed.
I got a degree.
I'm only allowed like 3 C's in my 2 C's in my program. The third one
so
I
many
fail.
C's to
Really?
graduate high school.
Yeah, but anyways, I found out later that was one of like the capstone, like one of the classes that the experimental psychology students take at the end of near the end of their degree. So not capstone, but like it's later.
So
and I just took that my first semester and.
It was a lot more technical of a class than you should have been taking.
Yeah, I shouldn't have been at that point, but no one stopped me.
Cognitive psychology.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah.
And I didn't need that for my degree.
Yeah.
Damn. So was it worth it? Was it worth it though?
If I don't get any C's this next semester, yes.
Damn.
Oh. See that shit? That's why like school is so it's so cruel. Like
Yep.
that shit stays like you're judged by your actions from nearly a decade ago or like years ago.
Right. And I mean, I will say, professors can show leniency if they choose. Like, if my professors,
It's corrupt.
like,
I mean, that's
think
good.
I'd have
it's
a good.
They can break the rules, but
I would have a good case because it's a class that no one else in my cohort has taken or will take.
yeah.
So, I've effectively met their standards for what I needed to meet. It was just I did some extra work that didn't turn out to be the best. You know, why should I get punished for expanding myself further?
Yeah.
Is the argument I could make, and I don't think I'll need to make it because I'm just not going to get a C this last semester. That'd be fine.
That's a good mindset to have.
Nice. So this was a side tangent.
Yeah.
To go on to say that what you're going on to do.
Right.
I guess
It will have been 8 years after high school education to answer your question.
Dang, 8 years.
Yeah.
of education.
Undergrad and then 4 masters
Education.
for a single master's degree.
I know you're someone who's quite aware of the growing awareness of college and how expensive it is and how much
bullshit.
of a ripoff it is for nearly every single degree, and how really, in a lot of ways, it's a false promise and a lie that we've been sold. That we need, in order to be okay in life, we have to go get degrees. Now, of course, you're outside of that because you're pursuing something that does and should require accreditation, I guess. And you've wanted to do this pretty intently. I mean, basically since the end of high school, if I'm remembering correct.
Actually, since the start.
Since the start of high school.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. About 8th grade or so. It's kind of when I initially I was wanting to be youth pastor, but then kind of after thinking about it a little bit more, I realized what I wanted to do was really counseling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long ass road, and I'm happy to almost be done because I've never once enjoyed school. Now I will say it's gotten better at every level for me. Every level I go up, it's a little bit more
Like it gets
enjoyable.
easier each.
Not easier, but I like it more. It's less bullshit.
Tolerable.
Okay.
Less bullshit.
I see.
Except for college, it initially was easier than high school for me.
Yeah.
But that's just because the first couple years of college is about getting everyone to the same level.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
parents ensured that I was already at that level before college,
Gotcha.
which is part of the reason I also believe it's bullshit, because I basically wasted 2 years. Could have had it in 6.
Yeah.
Had to spend 2 extra.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
And that's 2 years of my freaking life.
See, I was like, I don't talk about this much. I know you know about this, Landon, but like after I got my GED, and
Which, hella proud of you for that, by the way.
thank you. It was a challenge. Middle school math. Well, I had to start
that's hard
from
for
middle
me.
school math
Right.
and work my way like back up from
Yeah.
high school.
No, you straight up taught yourself all of high school, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it wasn't high standards for the test, so I'm not.
You
gonna
still
act like
did it.
Was.
Yeah. You still got it.
we don't have high standards for high school graduation either. That's part of the problem of college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, like after that, I knew I wanted to like get into software basically, and I was set on just going to college because I thought that made sense. It was the best way. It was the best way to meet people who I could maybe build technology with, and get the like I wanted to learn things from first principles, like learn it from the fundamentals of computing and understand all of that. And so I was set on like I had to set the most ambitious goal.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to like get into MIT or get into like MIT was the one I wanted the most because they have room for people with non-traditional backgrounds. And I was going to start with OCCC doing community college, and I don't know, just like I spent probably 4 to 6 months just doing all of the research and due diligence, like probably looking at 100 universities and considering all of their programs and looking at what a full computer science curriculum looks like and figuring out cost and making a plan like, okay, so I'll be in $100K of debt, but like I bet I bet I can pay it back after this many years.
Mm-hmm.
Just all those trade-offs. And then I spent a semester and a half in community college, and they killed every bit of, like, it truly was like peering at a dead an institution that was so obviously just grasping for life. And I was like, this isn't, like, it just felt wrong from the beginning. You know, I kind of had this vision, this story in my head, really, that, like, I had to go to college, and it was this, you know, whole just classic story that we're told.
Right.
And, you know, and of course now I've taken a different path, an alternative path, and it's working out very well for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's just, it's interesting how, I mean, it takes so much to go through academia. Like, it's not just the literal costs, but it's paying the costs. It's communicating with administrators. It's how they waste your time, how they contradict themselves, and, like, your credits don't count all of a sudden. Or, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah.
It's an infuriating.
They're going to milk you for every dime and every second of your life that they can.
Yeah.
And that's the honest problem with it.
It's predatory, really.
It is.
I mean, especially the fact that it's 18-year-olds who are being pushed to make six-figure decisions.
It's predatory, like, with the loans that they offer, especially.
Yeah, I guess that's,
which I don't want to necessarily get into all that.
That's what I'm sitting on. Yeah, and we shouldn't. That's a whole.
That's a big topic.
That's a topic on itself.
Yeah.
Like, you could have a whole podcast about that.
I know, but you know, like, either way, I guess what I'm saying is that I admire, like, you knew you had to go through the system. Yeah. I really didn't. I thought I did. I really didn't. You did, though. Like, you have to go through the system. Like, you did that. You're almost done. Yeah. And then, like, you want to be able to have basically a private counseling firm or something that, you know, you can have more freedom or autonomy over.
That was the original plan.
Okay.
For a few. So counselors typically don't make much money.
Not surprised.
Severely underpaid. Which is weird. Everyone thinks counseling is very expensive, okay? And it definitely can be. Not saying it's not. But there's also a lot of cheaper counselors out there than people realize. Just the cheaper ones don't typically accept insurance.
Gotcha.
But there's still normally, like, it's not I don't know the percentage, okay? Mm-hmm. But it's common enough to where it's things such as, like, almost become terminology. Yeah. Where counselors operate on what's called a sliding scale, which, so depending on how many dependents you have, and your annual income, charges differently. Gotcha. So, as part of the program, and this is kind of why UCO's program is really good with counseling. They have their own clinic, so I saw clients. I had clients who paid like $10 a session.
Wow.
There were clients in there who paid, I'm just going to say, triple digits.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. Because they weren't my clients, and I don't know all the details.
Yeah.
But, so big difference, right? Because there's big income difference, big dependency count difference.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And
so they try and build a system to where it can be accessible
to
people
pretty
in
much
tough
anyway.
Yeah, but doesn't take insurance.
Yeah.
And, like, that's how a lot of private practices operate. And it allows them to actually make, I think, fair wages. Like, some go way higher than they really need or should be making, in my opinion. But average private practice is, like, I'm talking 60, 70 grand, maybe 80 here in Oklahoma, like, equivalent. So good. That's good money. Mm-hmm. But I could have gone.
But for 8 years of school.
Yeah.
But, you know, still plenty of people go to school for 8 years and there's not even a guarantee of a job. And if there was a job, it would be like $35K a year.
Right. But
like if you have a philosophy degree or I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing about college. Let me finish this thought, then I'll kind of get on to that a little bit.
No, I'm sorry.
But, I mean, speed running it's 6 years. Because most masters are 2 years. Mine's 3. I added an extra year in that general program because I didn't get it in the first year. You know, So I kind of partially made it 8, but yeah. So I was originally gonna do private practice. I wanted to work with special needs people, but ABA stuff is actually super helpful for special needs individuals. And I do want to acknowledge this real quick. Just there are anti-ABA people in the world, and I get where they're coming from.
And ABA again is behavioral analytics.
Applied behavioral
Applied
analysis.
Behavioral analysis.
So there are people
who are against it. Yes.
That
and I think there's validity to their side. Okay.
really okay.
They just think it's like not a good.
They think
good
it's abusive.
system.
Okay.
They view it as abuse, especially for special needs
for
individuals.
Special needs? Okay.
And I think there's reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, abuse has occurred in the field. Not like that's, but changes have been made. We're constantly working to improve. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I mean it's kind of the same thing with like elder care as an industry, or even really just medical.
Any care at all.
Like
They've all
there's
got
all
a
been
dark
history
past.
of abuse.
Yeah.
And so like
For
I
sure.
don't.
Shutter Island.
I don't. It's like one of the. I mean, basically, but one of the ethics codes I think has really helped push the field to be better about that. Is we're not allowed to use punishment unless it is has been proven, not deemed proven, to be necessary to prevent harm. So, for example, some special needs people who are typically more severe have self-injurious behavior. Really, and it can get really bad.
Yeah.
We have to first try. We first have to try with rewarding behavior, using good stuff to try to modify it. When that doesn't work, or when it becomes too dangerous, then are we allowed to use punishment?
Gotcha.
Because then it becomes more of a life or death situation.
Right.
Okay. And now that has not always been there. Okay. I'm not sure when that ethics code became instated, but that's one that we currently have. And so anyone who is anti-ABA or something, like, I get it. I get why you might feel that way. I don't think it's invalid.
Well,
I just think if you or someone you know is looking for ABA services, keep a watchful eye, but know when it is done ethically is very good.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems like with anything in the world, like there's always going to be people either having a dark, twisted path, like taking it to that, or they're going to, like, I don't know, even be, it could be anything. I mean, really, it could be lazy that then makes, like, laziness in someone that's trying to do it can then, like, take that easier path of just, being cruel, but, like, that, like you were saying, that can happen in elderly, like, homes, that can happen
and
at daycare, that can
and
happen.
I just don't want to be dismissive about it.
Right.
Because abuse is abuse, and we shouldn't stand for any of it. And that's why if I ever see abuse in the field, I immediately would call it out.
Right.
Luckily, I've never seen abuse at my company, so
nice.
Cool.
That's
we're
good.
fairly small though. So,
so you've worked like with lots of special needs kids at Camp Barnabas.
Yeah.
Like as a staffer and just like helping out for multiple weeks. Like I know that. I guess I have a lot of. Oh man, I have so many thoughts on it, but just working with so many like special needs kids, like what is it that kind of draws you to that world, and what is it that they kind of like inspire in you or have you reflect on? I don't know. That maybe that's like kind of a big overarching question, but for me, I found myself being like really inspired and moved by the like raw humanity, like and the classic everyone loves kids with Down syndrome, and that's kind of a classic thing, but kids with all sorts of different issues, maybe some that aren't as sociable that people would consider. So kind of what sparks for you there?
Honestly, I don't know. at least when I worked at Camp Barnabas, I've kind of felt like I had the least of a heart for special needs people than out of all the staffers there.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like, everyone else seemed to love them more than I did. But the honest truth is, I just don't see much of a difference
Between them.
in a neurotypical.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, they got health, like Down syndromes you could quantify as a health problem or something, you know. But like, okay, so do I. I have health problems. Like, it's just a different thing, and I just feel like
So you have the same heart for all people, and you
kinda. I just feel like society throws them aside. So I'm trying to pick up the slack where I see it in society, I guess, is the better way of putting it.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, historically they've been thrown aside, and society as well. And like that's another thing. Like dipping your toes into that, you just see the hard work and the pain of like those families.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's some of the families I've worked with are just ecstatic about what their kid can do now. Mm-hmm. I can't give details. I can't give any any identifying information or anything.
Right.
But like, it's not uncommon like to work with, especially so I'm a larger guy. My current job is registered behavioral technician. So if the board certified behavior analyst is the doctor, I'm the nurse.
Okay.
So I'm one of the people on site making this minor adjustment calls, while the behavior analyst kind of has to cycle around through the sites to keep checking on things, updating the treatment plan, stuff like that. Okay. But there's been kids who just straight up are quantified as nonverbal, as in they cannot speak. They have not acquired that skill. Okay. We come in, and that's largely speech path that helps with that stuff if it's like a physical thing. Yeah. But for a lot of special needs people, for some special needs people on the severe end of the spectrum, it's more they've never been challenged to do it. Gotcha. So they've never had a need to develop that. And so we kind of come in and start putting that need on them. Like, for example, a lot of clients really like iPads or TV or something like that, you know? Yeah. So we'll just say iPad. Or like if you can't, just like make you know, give us something and you'll get it right away. Right.
So you're using, that's kind of an example of what you're saying. You're using reward. You're not using punishment. Yeah. And I feel like this also kind of explains where it can be maybe controversial, the ABA, because you're kind of going in and you're analyzing their behaviors and you're trying to you're trying to hammer into those behaviors and shift them into something else. And that's inherently intrusive.
Yeah, but is what we do to everyone? Yeah. Like that's part of living in society.
That's just what it takes to change.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, me teaching, when I'm not around the kid, the rules might be different for them. You know, I don't know if they always have to ask for it. Most likely not, because if they did, we would have never been called. You know, this thing. Parents are busy. Yeah. There's a lot to being a parent. And sometimes it's hard to focus on that aspect. Yeah. But like, so we are changing them as a person to some extent, you know, but really what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand what they are capable of in the moment. We want to open more doors. We want them to have more opportunities in life. At least that's my goal. Yeah. Ideally, they would be able to completely live by themselves independently and be fine. Yeah. That's ideal. Normally, if they're like, it's pretty difficult to get a client from severe to that. But assisted living is a very obtainable goal, you know. But if we don't come in, if no one pushes them to change, they are like a baby. Right. And not always. I'm not trying to talk badly, but my point is, like, the parents don't get a break. Yeah. And the parents need a break. The parents deserve some I don't think an individual's right exists to trample on other people's rights. Right. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So like some anti-ABA people might not agree with that philosophy. They might believe that it is their right to trample on
those people aren't
rights.
listening to our podcast. It's okay.
They might be. They might be. But it doesn't make them a
If
bad
you are,
person. It's
DM
just
me.
my point is
Red
it's a
pill me on
different it's a different perspective, and what I appreciate about them is that they are genuinely trying to ensure the safety of special needs individuals.
Yeah.
And I like that there are those people because it pushes my field and me as an individual to make sure I am ethical and doing things properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and not causing
that's
harm.
good. Yeah, for sure.
And we're not allowed to use like we never withhold food or water
right. Yeah.
from clients. We might withhold snacks,
Yeah.
like candies or something.
Yeah. That's cruel, bro.
But
yeah. Can't
But,
hold Snickers forever, man.
no, like we never want to starve a client. We never want to deny them water,
Of course. Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, so I think we want to ask you questions that are outside the scope of your experience
ask
and expertise.
Ask.
I think, yeah. I don't know if I can
Or
remember, but I
we
will
just
start
wanna-
remembering.
I at least want to get into some of those meta ideas. I mean, I think something that's just
Well, I've just been talking about behavior analysis. Counseling gets a lot more philosophical in mind with it.
yeah. Okay, so
So-
that's where we're going
Yeah.
a little bit, and those are two different sides where behavioral analytics is more the trying to make the science out of it, like
Yeah, it's much more
everything,
science driven.
quantify
Much more,
it.
yeah.
yeah,
Whereas,
and then counseling is more ambiguous and more
it's more of an art form, less of a science, is how I'd put it.
okay, yeah. Because
Counseling's more the artistic style.
Emotional, too.
Yeah.
It can be. I mean, they
Like-
both can be emotional, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's just the roadmap's not as clear.
Yeah. Okay, so something that I think is relevant for everyone. Me and Jana were talking about this like 2 nights ago. Just
I'm going to go to the restroom real quick.
yeah,
I'm
go
not
for
even-
it. We've had a lot of stuff going on lately, but so has everyone. We're here in 2021 right now. Shit does not seem to be calming down.
No.
I just think the amount of what we're talking about is just the sheer amount of consistent stress and worry that has been like pumped into our heads, especially this last year. And it's almost like since 2015, since 2016, we've really been getting plugged in to social media and into politics in a new way. And then 2020 was like the activation. Like we were getting plugged in, maybe not as active. It was more casual. And then 2020
forced the full switch.
it just activated it for everyone. And so no matter who you are, even if you're someone that's very much been trying to stay out of the crossfire, which I have, like you've just been barraged by so much stress and anxiety this year. And, you know, I guess I'm just always wrestling with how do I conduct myself? And, you know, I have my own philosophies and my own ideas, but I guess what do you see of people, like who succeeds in these high stress environments? Like what are the habits or what are the practices that are like consistent across people or the mindset?
Define succeeds.
I say succeeds, people who can just take a lot of the stress and not be as, long-term affected by it.
Oh, okay.
Be able to release it at the end of the day, not die earlier.
Okay, okay.
I'm just
how
trying
do
to
how
be
do you
that
cope
person.
with it? Basically, is what you're asking.
Yeah. How do you
Okay,
cope with
so
it?
there's multiple ways. One is to be a narcissistic asshole.
Narcissistic asshole?
Yeah, that
Okay,
could be the
that sounds
title of this
interesting.
episode. Honestly,
I'll consider that.
no.
What y'all talking about?
But so
I
he
just-
basically was asking, how do you, like, because life's been so ridiculously stressful, and politics are basically just pushed into your face. There's no avoiding it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been ramping up since 2015, I believe you said. I would argue a little bit before.
Yeah, like 2014, 13
I would argue like 08.
Really?
Yeah,
But
I just meant like us being
2020
plugged
forced
in.
the full switch.
Yeah.
And like it's all politics,
Yeah.
all social media. That's
Yeah.
all that matters
Yeah.
almost. And that's a very stressful, anxiety-inducing thing.
Yeah.
and he's basically asking like, how do you deal with it?
Oh, okay.
Or like, what's the best,
Yeah.
what's the best stance to have, mindset to have? And so
Okay.
narcissistic asshole.
Yeah.
That's
So
one.
if all you care about surviving and getting through, yeah. The thing is, I wouldn't recommend it because it's.
What? No, it's
Okay. I wouldn't recommend it because it's basically you're not a good person. If you take that route.
Yeah.
Like
it's not a good.
you're
We shouldn't
Trump.
have to
You're Trump.
elaborate too much.
You're
It's not a
Trump.
good route.
Um,
Don't be a narcissistic asshole.
yeah.
Yeah. That'll always bite you in the ass, being a narcissistic.
Well, I
asshole.
hope so at least.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does.
I don't like those people.
It does.
But another that people will often try is avoidance. Okay, just ignore it. Don't acknowledge it.
Like
run away.
avoiding reality, almost.
The politics and all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the thing is, that's near impossible long term. And it's likely to cause other issues if you're.
Yeah,
just
won't that
ignoring
build
stress.
up?
It can. And I'm not trying to sound Freudian with this because Freud was a quack. He got some things right.
Freud. Who?
The father of psychology.
Oh, okay.
Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he got some things right, but he also missed like he basically just splattered an entire wall with paint, and like he painted the dots you wanted him to paint, but
Yeah.
doesn't matter when everything's covered.
Gotcha.
But he did really help vitalize the field, I guess. I'll give him that. It's just that now that we've researched it more, we know
Like
most
his
of the stuff is
methods
wrong.
weren't the best.
Yeah,
methods,
but
he kind of like pried open that
right. But
way
like
of
Well, he
thinking
thought-
at least.
He thought that like
It was all
everyone.
sexual.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, see,
everything was
I have no
sexual.
idea.
yeah.
See, I
okay,
don't
do you know what the Oedipus complex is?
No,
Do you know the Greek story of Oedipus?
I
think
don't
it was
remember
Greek.
it. If I did, no. I do not.
Basically,
Oedipus.
it might not have been Greek, but
I don't know nothing.
basically this kid, he was adopted or whatever. You know, he was abandoned. This couple found him, raised him. He became a strong warrior, whatever.
Okay.
He, I don't remember exactly what all happened, but he ended up finding and raping this woman
Oh,
who was very beautiful. Turned out to be his mother. So
Dang.
Oedipus complex is like the desire to have sex with your mother, basically.
Oh.
Yeah,
The
so
Electra
he thought that
is
that was.
the female to father.
got you.
Oh, I didn't know there's
Yeah.
an equivalent. So that was like the core of like how he was basically
that was
a
his
dude.
worldview.
So that he was using that theory.
That
to
was his worldview.
explain-
Everything.
No. So
Everything
he
was
was
sexual like frustration.
he was a dude who looked
I
at
didn't
all
know
together.
that at all. So yeah, my bad. I'm just
no.
sitting here like Freud.
Golden. You're golden.
Who dat?
Yeah.
Like,
No. You're
no,
golden.
No, he literally looked at all the other dudes and he was like, they don't know it, but everything that drives them is that they want to have sex with their mother. And
Yep.
I know that, and they don't.
so he was a cult leader.
Like if someone no, he
No.
just wanted to have sex. With his
He
mom.
just had a
Oh.
very weird belief in his world.
Gotcha.
Like
yeah,
that
like he
drove
put his world
everything.
onto everyone
Oh.
else.
Yeah. Turns out not everyone wants to fuck their mother and or father.
Yeah.
Like turns out
See, if Freud had only listened to his friends, but he was like, they don't
well,
understand.
here's
they
the thing.
really
Freud
they
was
do
too
want to do
Freud
it.
was
I
too
know it.
coked out, dude. Freud did a shit ton of coke.
Oh, that makes
Hey,
sense.
well, coke was less stigmatized back then, so. And
You
honestly,
still-
we
I
should
don't-
destigmatize it. I'm.
No, we
Continue
sh-
on, though.
No,
Continue on.
coke's like
That's aside from the matter.
I don't think you're realizing how much coke I am talking.
Are we talking about
like-
like Fleetwood
From
Fleetwood Mac?
Fleetwood
from
Mac.
how it has been explained to
Stack.
me, he did multiple lines a day.
Gotcha. That's Fleetwood Mac.
That's
status.
that's a
Um,
daily portion.
yeah, from how it's been described to me.
Yeah. What's up, Jana?
What's up, Jana?
Hope you're having a good day. But yeah, I'm sorry. What were we talking about before I got into Freud?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, okay. Well, we were talking about my big sweeping question,
Right.
and you said narcissistic asshole. You said ignore.
Oh,
Yeah,
Try and
ignore,
ignore
but that
everything.
causes problems.
But that
okay?
causes
And that was kind of
problems.
one of the things Freud kind of did recognize, that when we avoid shit, it causes problems. So the thing is, if you don't address it, it never fully goes away. So you're always running away from it. Now let's put this into a physical perspective, okay? Let's say you're constantly on the run from a bear.
Right.
How healthy do you think you're going to be after like 6 months, assuming you live that long?
I hope your legs would be jacked. But
Well, you would, but you also haven't had sleep.
that's true. Or eating.
You're probably malnourished.
probably using the bathroom as you're running.
Yeah. Like,
Probably smell
like,
like
so we're
shit.
basically saying by just escaping, you're doing the emotional equivalent. You're covered in filth, malnourished, not taking care of
Not
yourself in any
stoked.
way, shape, or form.
So you're nearly constantly exerting effort to get away from it.
Yes. Yes.
So it's self-defeating.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Because
not a
you
real
could just
solution.
deal with the problem. And
kill the bear.
yeah, no, basically
Or
kill the
climb
bear.
a tr-
Kill the
don't-
bear.
well, don't
Because
climb
or
it.
let
that's
the
the
bear
thing.
eat you.
Well,
yeah.
That's
Slowly.
the real. That's
No.
the real.
No.
Buddhist answer.
The running from bear was a weird analogy that just first time ever popped in my head. So let's not go too far with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
But it's more like if a bear was like stalking you and like was
Yeah.
threatening
What
you.
kind of bear?
So it was more just like a
Grizzly.
lower
Nice.
level
Winnie.
anxiety,
Nice.
but it was urgent.
Winnie the Bear, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I feel you with that.
No. So
Okay, so you have to address. You
yeah,
have to
you have
address.
deal with it. Like if they're, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example without just picking something that
Okay,
I've been
well,
working on with the client.
I'm still looking
Something-
at the bear,
something-
or thinking about the bear.
We're gonna put another stop in here because this invokes a thought for me.
Okay.
You know, something because I come from. I don't know a lot about psychology,
Mhm.
but what I've done over the last few years to help myself and to, try and make a better mental state and an internal world for myself. Like I've approached things from more of an Eastern side of things, getting into meditation, specifically mindfulness, and blah blah blah. Anyway, those ideas they emerge a lot in Eastern ideas of peace and internal well-being. They emerge and we discover them through Western science in a lot of ways. So it's like I've come from it through this different side. And just one of the things that I've learned about thoughts or about triggering thoughts or triggering feelings, emotions, like they just get served up to you by your subconscious, and you just you just have to let them pass over. I don't know. So like if you're meditating, if you try and sit down and just shut your eyes for 10 minutes and focus on your breath, like thoughts will come to you. And there's a pretty good chance you'll get served a thought of some embarrassing memory or something you regret you said or something that hurt or whatever. And there will be some small emotional impact. And it's just like you can totally overcome something in the middle of a meditation where you think of like, oh, when I was in grade school and I like peed my pants and fell over or whatever. And you can just like, you can have a moment where that comes up and you're finally just like, I totally accept this. Like I'm totally glazing over this memory with an acceptance and with a peace, and it's now not going to bother me. And maybe even the thing that within me that triggers an emotional reaction, maybe that will go away. And so it's like this ambiguous process of just like it comes up, you just accept it, you see what it is, what it makes you feel, and you just accept what that is. And kind of each time it comes up, it gets less strong.
Yeah.
And okay, so I know I'm kind of going on a rant here, but like, that's just like very, in Eastern philosophy, they would say it in different ways, but
Oh yeah.
that's
No.
just kind of a framework. And like, that's my first person experience of that. And I'm like, okay, this works for stuff like I peed my pants when I was a kid, but when you're getting hit with stuff every day and when you're worrying about the immediate future and there's all this uncertainty, that's kind of like that's a different boss battle. And so it's actually really been getting to me more than I've wanted to admit.
It is in a way. So I have, with some people who have struggled with anxiety, I sure have just recommended. They're very type A personality individuals, typically, who I would recommend this to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But schedule time to worry.
Schedule time to worry.
Yeah. So like give
taking-
yourself like 10 minutes. You make it however long you need,
Yeah.
but
That's
ideally not
literally
too
just my
long.
meditation.
No. It's the
That's what ends
exact.
up
No, that's what I'm
happening.
saying. It's the exact same idea.
Yeah.
This is. I know you and I have kind of slightly different philosophies on meditation, or at least we used to. It's been a while since we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But this is why I've always had the belief of the goal is not to have an empty mind. The goal is to start emptying your mind with meditation.
Mm-hmm.
You let the thoughts come and you run with them until they're exhausted. And then you take the next thought and run with it. And eventually, if you do enough meditation, you will cease having thoughts to run with. Because you've already thought it all through. In theory. But so with like the worry time, instead of saying do meditation, I'm saying take 10 minutes, throw on some calming music. And normally we've already worked on some coping skills and recognizing the physiological reactions that you're having to anxiety and stuff like that, so that way the individual can help keep himself calm and everything. But take the 10 minutes and worry about whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Anything and everything. But after that 10 minutes, you have to stop. You're not allowed to worry anymore. You can worry about the problems in your day, but not about tomorrow, not about next week.
Yeah, just the problems as they come.
Until your next sleep, you can worry about those problems outside of that 10 minutes.
Dang, I need to do that. I need to try and get involved in that type of mind frame.
Yeah.
For real.
And it's weird because it's kind of like it's difficult, but the facts are, like, if you're giving yourself time to think them through, you'll come to the solution. And if it's not pressing, don't treat it as such. There's enough things that are pressing in the day.
Yeah, and with enough practice, it'll just become like ritualistic in a way of just like, oh, okay, this is when this is my scheduled time to do this. I'm gonna get through it, and it'll get easier each time. Just
Right.
like
And
meditation, like your brain's like, you gotta work it out.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. And like with the meditation thing, like at some point you'll start, like when you're thinking all these things through, when you're doing your worrying time, so to speak.
Yeah.
I would recommend argue with yourself. Don't just let yourself mindlessly worry. Argue. Try to think of reasons why it might not be accurate.
Yeah, don't just let the thoughts cascade like, oh, I'm useless. I'll always be alone.
Yeah.
So like even speak out loud? Because I've done that before, and I've been like, wow, am I crazy?
You can if you want. I don't think...
There's no crazier than speaking inside your head.
It's...
Oh, I'm not in my head, though. I'm out loud, or I'm talking to my cat, who is a great listener.
No, that's normal. That's fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like...
That's good to know.
It's just... it's okay to let yourself, like, soak in the initial thoughts and everything.
Yeah.
But don't just stay there forever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah.
you got to start fighting them at some point. You got to start arguing against them.
Yeah,
Can't
just poke
keep-
holes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like some are
just-
really difficult. Like, I'll never be loved or something. It's really
Right,
difficult
right.
when someone's never really felt like they've been loved.
Right.
But it's kind of like, okay, well, so let's go with that idea. Like, why don't you think you'll be loved?
Mhm.
Okay, well, because this, and that. It's like, okay, don't you have this? Maybe not that, but don't you have this? Yeah. Okay, so then how do we obtain
Or have you
that?
ever loved people that have those qualities? Like you still feel like, well, yeah. And so,
or just like, okay, what does it take to be loved? What of that do you have, and what of that do you not? How do we start working on obtaining what you do not? If your mindset is, I have to have this criteria to be loved, we'll get you to meet that criteria. But I guarantee you, it's not a list of criteria that's for love. Love is weird.
Yeah, love's like a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
yeah.
We could have multiple
There's
episodes.
5 different types of love in the Greek and Hebrew language.
Yeah, let's not do that. I've had that conversation before. I'm good for the time being.
No.
So I wanted to point to like something kind of underlying what you're saying of just, okay, if you take this 10 minutes, you have your worrying time. And then if you catch obviously you don't just have your worrying time and then you will cease to have thoughts of worry.
Yeah.
And so
you don't let yourself rest on them from that point on.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is underlying this is a habit of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we don't talk about enough. And like I've learned this just through meditation. You know, like my version of worrying time is more just like something comes up, it causes a negative emotional reaction. For me, that mindfulness is it's this ambiguous trigger to all of a sudden realize that I'm having an experience, an emotional reaction, feel very precisely what it is, where it's coming from, and just notice that it has a half-life, or notice that as soon as it spawns up, it's disintegrating already. And that you can kind of just let it pass. Or it's also just like a memory of like, oh yeah, mindfulness is a thing. Like this thought I'm having is actually just a thought. And like if this is a problem, I could just like actually sit down and solve it. Or if I'm not going to do that, I should just really not let this thought affect me because it's a thought. And so in order to do any of these things, you almost have to have like a prerequisite, somewhat of an ability to like notice when you're in a reaction, or notice when that thing is triggered. Or like if you take your 10 worry minutes, are you going to even be able to notice that you just spent 5 minutes scrolling social media and the whole time you were actually worried about COVID or whatever?
No, like you hit a lot of good points there. Okay, so to kind of expand on this worrying thing, if you're a chronic worrier, don't start at 10 minutes. You need more time, straight up. Like be realistic with what you're going to be able to achieve. If you're not going to be able to have the worry time effectively be worry time, make it big enough so you can. But during worry time, you don't get on your phone, you don't get on media, you don't play soothing music that's like
those
ideally
things can maybe
wordless.
Amplify maybe.
Like well, you just want to help yourself not get out of control. Okay.
Yeah.
But like what I'd really work on before starting worry time, if you don't feel like you have this skill, is really recognizing the physiological components to your emotions.
Yeah, so basically feeling your emotions, like wow, pain, or like sadness is a specific spot in my chest, like it's a specific sensation, and I don't know, just like noticing those types of things, like
noticing how you feel when you're feeling things.
Or noticing that like, oh, my blood pressure just rose, or just like I'm having some kind of immediate reaction right now.
Right, and if you don't feel if you feel like you need to learn that stuff, here's what I would recommend doing. Okay, first go to Google, type in the words
or
feeling wheel. Okay, sure. I haven't used that. I've only used Google.
I use Google too.
Make DuckDuckGo your default
go find
research. Search engine.
Go find what's called a feeling wheel.
A feeling wheel?
Yes. Okay. It's basically
Rock
just
me, mama,
has
like
about
wheel.
So there's 5 primary emotions. Okay. Fear, disgust / jealousy, I think. It's one of those two.
Horniness.
No.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Joy, sadness, and anger.
I don't know, man.
Like, have you seen Inside Out?
Yeah.
Okay, those are the 5 core emotions.
Oh, okay.
Every other emotion is
I
like
whatever.
The red one's anger.
Yeah.
There's a blue one that's
is it
sadness?
Yes.
Oh, sadness.
Yeah, it is.
No, Inside Out's a phenomenal
The
movie,
blue one's
and
sad.
it's in terms of how the emotions kind of work. It does a good job of actually being like accurate with it all. But the thing is, like, obviously, there's not 5 little people living in your head.
I wish.
Without a control panel and everything.
Yeah, I wish.
If
I had 5, they'd be 5 different facial hairs. Like, they would all be me, but all just different mustaches. And anyways, sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, so feeling wheel, it should have those in the middle, and then have a layer of slightly more complex ones that might kind of gradient into some of the color mixtures, and then the one I'm thinking of has a 3rd layer.
Gotcha.
Okay, so and they're kind of color coded, so you can kind of see what higher functioning emotions belong to the lower.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you'll just start with recognizing those 5 primary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just seeing what it is at its core, understanding your physiological reaction, understanding how it makes you feel, all that stuff. And then you can go from there and then kind of start worrying about your worry time.
Gotcha.
And because understanding how you feel and everything is going to help you pace yourself properly. It's going to help you not become overwhelmed.
Have better control over the...
And in the moment, like anger, being aware of what anger is can help you not be an angry person.
Right.
Because it helps you realize when you need to go take time to cool off.
Yeah.
Same with all the other emotions.
Yeah, anger for me is a really, and I think for most guys, is a really relevant one. And like, for me, the stark difference in the experience of anger now compared to like 3 years ago, before I started practicing any of these things, you know, it's ridiculous. Like something could happen and it would waste hours of my life. Hours of my life would be wasted. And the memory, it would come back up and the emotion would rise up again. And then I'd wear it back down 10 minutes or however long it took. My blood pressure would drop. And then the thought would get served up again. I'd get angry again.
And you're fighting it every time.
Yeah, and you're fighting it every time. And you notice this cycle, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm repeating the same thing over and over again and having the same reaction.
Yeah.
You know, like with such automaticity. And then it got to the point, and for me, my place of practice is being a delivery driver, where I'd get into all sorts of infuriating experiences.
Dude, tell me about
so glad I'm not a delivery driver anymore.
I'm 2 or 3 months in, and let me tell you, man.
Dude, use it to practice.
I have been practicing.
No,
I'm a better person of
it. No, I think when I have kids, I will try to get them to work in fast food or delivery job or something.
Yes.
At least for like 6 months.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Just because, you need to know what it's like to be on the bottom of the totem pole fully. Yeah. I mean, I know it's not fully, but you know. And
our society.
Yeah. And it's going to be a great way to learn all these different emotions. You're going to get to know. It's boring, mindless work, so you're going to have a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
And that's the thing. Like if you're in that position in life, use it to grow as a person. If you can, do it. It's great.
Yeah, and you know, this is all getting around just an idea of living the examined life, or just examining yourself. Like it's so hard. Yeah. It seems to me that it's the norm to try and ignore the way that you are and the things that make you miserable, and instead of just like wrestling with the truth so that you can either get to acceptance or get to a solution. And just like all of these things, no matter what the stressor or unfair cards that you've been dealt, it's like there's nothing, like nothing can be solved unless you like kind of take responsibility for it, just like the mess that it is, and just start to piece it together in the best way that you can.
Right.
And
so
I don't know, and it's just like that. It seems that choosing to examine yourself is the underlying requirement for all of this stuff, and that also seems like something that is so difficult for people to flip on.
It is, especially nowadays.
If they've never learned it, or if they haven't built up those habits, which whose parents are you know teaching kids those kinds of habits. I mean, I know there's definitely plenty, but it's also
probably fewer than.
We're at an all-time
low.
The
majority is probably not.
Yeah, like you don't get taught how to deal with your emotions. You get like
you're taught to shove them down. You're taught to not behave this way. Yeah, not do this. And that's the thing. One, like with ABA stuff, one of the first things that at least my company commonly teaches clients is functional communication, so that they can express their wants and needs. And one of the ways we do that is with the break, real quick. Like, so they either verbally say it, or if they're nonverbal, there's a picture that they can point at for break, and they just get a break.
Just time away from the situation.
So like, all right,
to kind
you got
clear
5
the head.
minutes.
Yeah.
You know, just take your time. And when that 5 minutes is up, all right, hey, time to do this task. If they point at the picture again or just say break again, all right, you got another 5 minutes, bud.
Yeah.
today,
just
for
teaching
example,
him
I
that-
did that for 3 hours in 2-minute
Wow.
increments
Wow.
Yeah.
because the
Wow.
kid he was using it to avoid the work.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to like betray that.
System.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when he does need it, this is my company deals with aggressive children a lot, older aggressive children a lot.
Yeah.
Hence why I have this hole in my sleeve.
Oh, really?
Is it from a bite?
No. It already had a slight tear, but he got his nails in there and then just got his fingers in. And
Yeah,
just kinda, but like he wasn't trying to hurt me.
Right.
You know, he just
Of course.
he didn't want to do stuff, and he's used to using aggression to get out of things.
Yeah.
Once he realized it didn't work, he or wasn't going to work. He was just in an honorary mood today. We've been working with him for a while, but
Yeah.
he started doing work and doing the break thing.
That's
But yeah, it's just like we don't want to. It's more important that they feel like they don't need to get aggressive
Yeah.
and learn that there's alternative ways to behave.
Yeah.
But sorry, I lost where I was going with that.
No, you're good.
Um,
I'm still looking at beaches and
right.
Yeah.
we got some cool stuff
What
on the
were we
TV.
talking about right before that?
Dang, I can't remember.
I guess
what
just
that-
kind of like having the underlying awareness to even examine yourself. And I think that break,
why it's difficult.
that break
yeah.
is actually a good example because you're teaching, having 5 minutes, like that's a huge lever of control. And you're teaching them the habit that, okay, I have this lever of control that I can pull and I can just like step back. And then hopefully, I mean, you would hope that would develop and then you can just take a break from yourself and step back and maybe examine, okay,
Right.
this is how I'm feeling. Like being angry, throwing a fit won't get me anything. I really just need to calm down. And, like we don't even learn that we can take a break or to like,
Yeah.
you should resolve yourself.
That's what
it's
it was.
hard.
Yeah, we at least in the society I grew up in, kind of that culture,
Yeah.
it was a lot about behave this way.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how you feel, kind of thing. And the
Right.
breaks was to give credit to how they feel. Give them autonomy and some control.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, no one's taught us that because that's what we were talking about. No one teaches this emotional aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not many people even necessarily tell you should learn it or like this is really important.
Most
you didn't know about
adults
this?
in America, and I want to be clear, I'm talking about American culture and stuff
Mhm.
because I think it could be very different in Japan.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
if
we
it
don't,
is.
we
I
don't know
just
those other cultures.
like there's
Yeah.
but
This is our personal, very similar experience.
yeah, we all
We're
kind of grew
literally
up.
all-
I mean,
Yeah,
we kind
we've-
of grew up together, honestly.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit your
No,
knee.
it's okay.
But yeah, like that wasn't the culture. And thing is, like, no, all emotions are valid. All emotions are good, and that's one thing I love about the Inside Out movie.
Yeah.
Sadness is almost kind of throughout the whole movie. Joy's telling sadness not to touch things, not to do this or that, because they don't want to make the person sad.
Yeah.
But turns out sadness is what they need because they need to cope.
Mhm.
So really, what's happening if we take away all the little inside characters
Mhm.
away and put it as an individual process, Riley, who's the girl that they all live inside or whatever, their family just moved away in the movie. That's like how it starts off.
Yeah.
But so she's avoiding the dealing with the pain of moving away and losing all your friends.
Yeah.
And it's not until she learns to accept the sadness and mourns that she's able to experience what they call bittersweet, which would be basically a mix of sad and joy.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, let's talk about why some emotions exist. Okay, so anger. It exists because it is a motivator to help us right what we believe is a wrong. You don't get angry when you think someone treats you right. You get angry when you think they treat you wrong, when they betrayed you, when they did something they shouldn't have. Sadness is kind of similar, less of a motivator, but it helps us process some things. But it's one half of the coin of happiness. because we only are sad if we have things worth being happy about.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the happiness, that's what we call numbness, which is neither happy nor sad. And that's with severe depression or major depressive disorder, individuals can often feel that numbness.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're numb, life's really not that fun.
Yeah, pretty dull.
Like,
yeah.
So.
And honestly, when you're sad, at least in the moment, like if you're terribly sad, like
right.
you just got
no
broken
one
up
wants
with or
to be
something,
sad.
No one wants to be sad, but then when, honestly, like those times when you're most sad, they live with richness in your memory, and
they're the umami
and
of
strange
life.
thing.
Yeah.
Like you get
Yeah.
into new experiences, like you get shaken up so much that you just end up in new experiences and having new perspectives that you wouldn't before.
Right. I mean, that definitely happens, and that's good. It helps us grow. Sadness helps us grow. It forces that meditation that we were kind of dealing with, or that we were talking about a little bit. It's just normally on a specific thing. Like, let's take breakups, for example. Okay, we've all been dumped at some point in our lives.
Yo.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
You never been dumped?
No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I have.
I was about to say, I remember when we got into Smash. That was the distraction back in the day.
Yeah. Shouts out.
So see, you can grow, guys. You can learn. No, but it's okay to have a distraction too. Don't get me wrong. Like sometimes you just don't want to be dealing with stuff 24/7.
Sure. Yeah.
But just don't distract yourself 24/7.
Yeah.
Take on as much as you can. It's like working out, weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we've all been dumped before, and it sucks. It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like, hopefully I don't have to go through that again. But the reason it hurts is because we lost something that's good, something that we enjoyed, something that was fun and happy,
Yeah.
and we were mourning it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what dealing with a breakup is. It's mourning, much like a death.
Mm-hmm.
And when we feel those experiences are cut off from us, it can push us to seek new experiences to replace. And like, so sadness kind of can help work in that way.
And see, I think this is another Eastern perspective. Like most of happiness, as what we call happiness, or like why you're sad when you get broken up with. It's expectation. It's desire. It's like you had this expectation, this desire, this hole that was supposedly filled, and now that's taken away, and now you have to accept, life without that thing.
Yeah.
And like that's why, like a lot of Buddhists, they actually see desire as like a contract to suffer until you get something. They see desires as negative, like they want to relinquish themselves from as many desires as possible. And now I don't necessarily think that that's the lesson to take, is like relinquish all your desires, but
right.
I think it is worth understanding that like there is an aspect of sadness or just inherent suffering that comes with desire. So you should examine your desires, and if you have desires that are like, I don't want to have these, or I don't value these, or believe in these, like, not that you can just throw those things out, but like we automatically generate desires all the time.
Yeah.
And the more of those we generate these downsides and this sadness and emptiness that comes from it. And like, I guess I'm talking about this, but I'm also curious, like, how, like, dissecting a desire, like, how much can you free yourselves of desire just with, without going and sitting in a cave and meditating for a decade?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of wisdom to gain from Eastern theology. I think those Buddhists are tricking themselves a bit, though, because they desire to not have desires.
Right.
Desire is another word for motivation. So really the answer is, what do you desire more? Do you desire what you currently desire, or the goals that you're setting up?
Well,
And
so I guess Buddhists are just trying to get to that the very root of desire itself.
Yeah.
Only desire that desire.
yeah, yeah.
So
no,
all the other ones, they don't come along.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. Well, you know, that's a pretty good strategy.
no, it's not bad, and you can get very content with that. And happiness is subjective, so I'm not gonna say you can't be happy. I would argue many people would not be happy with that.
Most people would probably be traumatized with
because
being forced to meditate.
like
all the time.
let's take an evolutionary
Majority
perspective
of
here.
Westerners, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. That's just a complete culture shock. Shift.
Yeah.
That's going from the opposite to the opposite extreme.
Yeah.
But like,
Evolutionary perspective, which I'm into.
So we'll kind of walk with that with depression a little bit. Okay. So let's take early human ancestor number A. Okay, and her early human ancestor B. The only difference is B would have what for that species would basically quantify as major depressive disorder. Okay. So that numbness, right? They're feeling that numbness. Which one do you think is going to be better about gathering resources and succeeding?
Yeah, the one who's motivated is going to outcompete.
Yeah. And so which one do you think is going to spread their genetics more?
Yeah, the one who's motivated.
Yeah.
Super horny.
So B probably isn't going to do much. So because of that, with the idea of evolution, of the motivation being a successful thing, and therefore naturally being promoted in nature, it would stand to reason that we humans today developed through a string of creatures that were motivated. So motivation or desire is the reason we exist and the reason we will continue to develop. So to stop desires is to stop development.
But we're also we're now in this
flies in the face of Buddhism. I don't mean disrespect to those people. Like they have their own philosophy, and that's great.
I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't think I represented it fully. Like
Probably not. I'm sure it's a lot more complex.
We
in
don't
a couple
represent
senses.
much here on this show.
Don't
We're just
don't
talking.
represent
We're
much.
just talking.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn, I just forgot what. Evolution. Okay.
Yeah.
So now I think there's a lot of interesting. I love looking at behaviors and just psychology through an evolutionary lens because I think it
super
explains
interesting.
a lot, and I think also it becomes super worrying when you consider that like we are in a environments full of hyperstimuli. And so like a desire, if you're that, that creature long ago, or let's just say you're a hunter-gatherer, 10,000 years ago, your desires are in your immediate environment. If there's the cute girl in the tribe, or there's, a big luscious fruit tree on a ridge far away, like the desires are legit factual motivators from signals that you get in your real environment to kind of go out and conquer that next hill. And motivate. And it makes sense that would be the creatures that outcompete the other ones, the ones that have the highest highs and the lowest lows, as far as their experience. But like now, our environment is so ambiguous, and we're exposed to everyone across the whole world. And so like desires are running rampant. Like we're getting triggered. Like if you just take what you are fed from social media and you follow big accounts or whatever, just what the algorithms feed you, like you are going to be left with the desires of the most spoiled Richie Rich, fairy tale person expecting to have the perfect life. Like there's every aspect of life. If you engage with that on social media, you're going to get fed the most extreme hyper stimulus example of it. And so like our evolutionary, kind of tools have set us up, like the parameters are off right now. We're far too sensitive for the just sheer load of stuff that we're getting fed. And I think this also goes back to like the anxiety and dealing with that and everything. And so, I'm biased towards thinking that, like, especially now, we have to do things that are non-typical to deal. Like, we have to go to extremes that we didn't go to before to, like, kind of help deal with this extra stimulus that we're giving and live somewhat of a balanced life.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a lot, but.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth in that. To kind of get back to your original question a little bit, though, of like basically how to operate in 2021.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I kind of like how you said the parameters being off, though, and that's kind of the difficulty right now, because we're such social creatures, but we're basically not allowed to be social.
Yeah.
Or
we're trying to fill the void with social media and stuff like that.
And that's like that's like the swamp, like the only place we can kind of get.
But we're basically eating recycled shit.
Right.
And that's why it's cool.
Stuff.
Yeah.
In the swamp.
Yeah.
And like possums. That's what we're eating.
Yeah, man, you know about that from Piedmont.
I've never eaten either one of those.
I don't know.
To my knowledge.
I mean, your family, your
well,
cousins.
You need to talk to your mom
because
she's definitely fed your mom. Just kidding.
But
it's roadkill, okay?
Hey, I'm not opposed, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, as long as it's clean.
I mean, I'll
it
try
probably tastes
anything.
like chicken.
I'll try anything once.
I'm not trying to sound uppity here. I'm not saying I wouldn't eat any roadkill, but anyway. But yeah, that's why it's cool. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast, and this isn't even anything. This is just something we're doing for its own sake. But like it's great to. I yearn for that social connection, and I especially like. I'm less into the big group party type of thing, and more into like I want to have deep conversations and go deep, and so like we're some of these episodes are remote, and so like we're kind of using the technology, but I don't know, trying to like
I'm trying to make some safe.
Kind of
social,
I mean that's the you gotta stay safe.
It's so hard though to get like a conversation like this over something like Discord or like so
and to kind of like just build off of it all a little bit, like we're social creatures, like that's the idea I kind of want to build off here, and there's definitely exceptions. There are people who are just totally fine being alone. Historically we've called them hermits, and I don't mean that like as an insult or a joke. That's just straight up where that word comes from. I love the
idea of hermits, honestly, but
sounds like someone who's peaceful to me.
I mean, no, they tend to be they just don't care to interact with people or anything, and like there's nothing wrong with that, that's your thing, go for it. But that's not most people. 99% of humans are not that way. And so like people might be listening thinking like, oh no, I'm an introvert, I'm more that way. It's like, yeah, you might be more that way, but introvert and extrovert is a scale. It's a sliding scale. It's not two categories.
Really, there's different aspects.
Yeah, like you might be 55% introvert. You might be 70% introvert. Those people who are hermits are 100% introvert. Like they're full on the scale, but they're the radicals.
They're at their best. They are away from other people.
So even if you're an introvert, you want some social. Now,
certain percentage.
If you're more on the extrovert, you might want a lot more social interaction, and that might be why you kind of jump around. And that life at the party ideal is kind of what people often think of when they think of extrovert. But like, I don't think there's a huge difference between someone who's like a 55 on extrovert and a 55 on introvert. Like, I don't think there's that huge of a difference. There's just some people who I guess it would be a big difference because it's just a 200-point scale at that point. But or 100-point scale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jumping around between models in my head right now.
No, you're good. I'm
But-
just saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Just we all need social interaction, and like that's what's making That's part of what made 2020 so rough,
Yeah.
and that's what's
definitely.
making
Yeah,
2021 so rough.
Yeah.
Like until the pandemic, 2020 wasn't that bad, really. It had its shitty parts. Do not get me
Tiger
wrong.
King. We had
That was after pandemic, though, but that
okay.
was like right after it started.
Oh, well,
But,
I'm trying to remember what we had before that.
I can't believe that. That feels so long.
I know, like, but that's the thing. We
I
just
haven't even seen Tiger King. I'm just
most people's
No,
social interaction. Well, I don't want to say most. If you're trying to live safely in this COVID era,
Mm-hmm.
a large part of your social interaction is most likely coming from work.
Yeah.
At a time where like roughly 30% of the workforce is or no, that was UK, dang it. Prior to the pandemic in the UK, roughly 30% of the workforce was remote. But so now, like with the pandemic, for safety reasons, a lot of our workforce is remote unless they
Yeah.
are what's been deemed essential,
Yeah, central
but
or whatever.
paid not even like a third of what they should be to
Yeah.
live.
I'll be right back.
Essential workers without essential pay.
Yeah. Like kind of a terrible situation to put people in, but
Yeah.
you know, we could also just UBI it up, and then that's honestly not to get off topic,
Mhm.
but what I want UBI that's actually enough for someone to realistically live off of. Like I would
Mhm.
say, in an ideal world, about
so UBI.
universal
for-
basic income,
Okay.
like what Andrew Yang would kind of propose.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would want more than him, and then like I'm talking, you need to be able to like legitimately just not be in the slums. You need
Yeah,
to be able to
yeah.
actually live life
Yeah.
comfortably, but not like luxuriously.
Right.
If we reach that point of UBI, I would want to remove minimum wage entirely, because at that point, individuals have the full financial capabilities of negotiating a wage because
Yeah.
they don't need to take a job.
Yeah.
And then companies will just be forced to pay actual fair wages. Because if not, they don't get employees.
That makes sense.
But that's an entirely different topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have. I want to have two. I want to do 2 episodes on Bitcoin. The first one,
Yeah.
just an entire history of money, like what is money, like because we gotta start from first principles, and that's what every Bitcoiner learns, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin. But a history of money, anyway, is like a dark, brooding, strange, and thing, and you know they don't tell us. We don't learn about money. And there's a reason we don't learn about money. They don't teach us about money.
The most I ever learned about money as a child was from Cyber Chase, in which they had an episode where everyone used the bartering system.
Oh.
Was that on PBS?
Yeah.
Dude, I love
Cyber
that
Chase
shit.
were moving.
Yeah. It had
Being
the
hacker at his game. Or something like that.
It had a bird in it, didn't it?
Yeah,
Like a
the
mechanical
Gizmo.
bird.
Gizmo
Yeah,
or something like
Gizmo.
that.
Gizmo Cog Man, something or other.
Yeah, he's like a cyber robot pigeon.
Yeah, Raven looking ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
That man, I haven't thought of that show in a
Dude.
while.
Okay, no, like what was it? A year or 2 ago, I found out that show was still on air.
For real?
Yeah.
Like they're making new episodes, or
Yes.
they? Whoa.
Like I looked it up and there's like 20 plus seasons or something like that. I
Holy
think.
Yo, is Arthur still on though?
Yeah.
Arthur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
That's
like
cool.
they had
Yeah.
a scandal.
What?
No, say,
Like
hey,
a year or 2
hey.
ago because
Wonderful
Mr.
God.
Burns or whatever, the teacher
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
had a gay wedding, and people got upset about it.
Oh, he had a gay wedding in Arthur.
Yeah.
That's cool.
'Cause
That's
he's
sweet.
gay.
Good for him.
And like, if that's the offensive way to put it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I'm just
No.
saying, like,
No,
like
he's
straight,
gay.
like
He's a-
that's just
he's a
part of the
gay rat.
He's a
character.
gay, he's a
and
gay rat.
it's a show
There's
that
nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a show that gone on for so long that like eventually that character's gonna get that classic like episode.
Yeah.
That's cool. None
And
of
people
our
freaked out over it, in my opinion.
none of our
very
listeners
stupidly.
freaked out. We know them. We love y'all.
Yeah. We all love Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
I think that was
we
his name.
stand Mr. Burns here. Is that how you use that term?
See, you're saying
Okay. Yeah, we stand Mr. Burns here. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, it makes me think of The Simpsons too, because Simpsons has Mr. Burns.
Maybe that's where I was getting it
Oh
from.
wait, yeah.
Oh wait, Mr. Burns is gay, isn't he? In The Simpsons too?
No, that's Smithers. That's
oh,
Smithers.
Mr. Smithers.
Hold on.
Wait.
Or well,
Yeah, is the rat's last name Mr. Burns and Arthur? Did I just throw that off by?
I don't know. We don't need to find out.
No, we need to figure out his name right now.
Holy shit.
Ratburn.
Ratburn.
Nigel
So,
Ratburn.
Nigel. I've never. What? Okay, so
Ratburn.
Mr. Ratburn, not Mr.
Oh.
Burns.
Okay, kind of close
is
though.
a gay rat. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
From my understanding.
Yeah.
I just read like a news article on it years ago, so I don't know if I'm remembering it exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Ratburn. Right.
Man, honestly though, Francine, I don't know. She'll be having a gay wedding at some point. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, dude.
There's no way I
Dude.
don't know, man. They're kids.
At most, I'm gonna give you that she is bisexual, because her and Buster definitely flirted.
Oh, really?
That's true.
Like, I don't know, like they were shipped in my head.
I always related
as a child.
most to Buster. Maybe that's like every
Dude, Buster
kid.
got the spinoff.
Oh,
For
yeah.
real? Buster's got a spinoff?
Oh, that was back when we were kids still.
Wow.
Like, he basically, it was mostly live action, and basically they used Buster as like
Live action.
well, like it was real people. It was like one of those like
Oh,
kind of
God.
weird Discovery PBS shows.
I don't.
And they used Buster for all the transition. He was like the host.
Oh, okay.
kinda thing.
Okay. I don't think I was allowed to watch
Post stamps from
Arthur-
Busters. That's what it was.
What was it called?
Post stamps from Busters or postcards from Buster.
Okay.
Something like that.
I think I had to stop watching Arthur because they showed a woman driving or something like that.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, something along the lines.
Just Piedmont things.
No, I don't know. I think it had something to do with someone being gay, actually, though. But
Probably
it was
Ratburn.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember not being able to watch it anymore. Anyways, yeah.
Oh, so you were watching it
man.
like 2 years ago?
Well,
Just-
yeah.
No, that's
every
just what,
day.
I don't know how old the article was. It might have been a really old article, actually. But
Or they have multiple gay characters.
which,
I mean-
honestly, shout out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. At this point, it's normal.
Dude,
Like it should be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue that a
Yeah,
character has
yeah.
a gay wedding.
a kid's show. Yeah, I don't get it.
yeah. Well,
cares?
here in the Bible Belt, it'll always
Honestly.
be an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to take us so off topic.
No, that's pretty on brand for this podcast. I
Yeah,
think.
we love going off topic. We're
Okay.
just watching. We've got this TV that we're all looking
Honestly,
at.
can you show them?
No,
Is there a way to
You just-
show?
it's just
We will in the
footage,
future.
drone footage of Greece,
Yeah.
and it's just beautiful.
Eventually,
We've
we
just had
can
this
maybe get a
beautiful footage playing
window
the
and
whole
just
time.
pull it up sometimes. Like figure out a way to get that monitor on here to show these aerial
Yeah, just like
views of-
pointless.
I mean,
like
if you just
B-roll footage
Yeah, yeah,
to play while we're talking.
yeah.
That's an innovative.
you could
idea.
literally just not. Well, I don't know if this footage is. It has a water stamp, but
Oh, that's true.
so it's probably
watermark.
watermark, yeah.
Watermark.
So
Yeah.
it's probably like copywritten or something. But
Oh yeah.
all you would have to do is basically hook up the extra monitor, play the video in the extra monitor, and just
Mhm.
screen cap that.
Yeah, yeah.
So an
definitely.
HDMI cable would do it.
Dude, maybe we should commentate movies at some point.
Oh,
That'd be
I don't
fun.
know.
A little
getting-
science. What was that? Master Theater 3000 or whatever.
Yeah, oh no, I can't remember it now.
I said it. I fucked it up too much.
Looking for my
but
phone.
Yeah, I don't
anyways,
know what you're
sorry.
talking about.
So yeah, I hope I kind of answered how to deal with anxiety to some extent.
No, I feel like we
But-
touched on some
If-
yeah.
good stuff.
Some things I would like
I wanna
just
say
recommend
something else.
Googling if you really are interested in it,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
DuckDuckGoing, DuckDuckGoosing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Duck Duck Goose, right? .com.
It's DuckDuckGo.
Yep,
Make it your default
DuckDuckGoose.com.
search.
You heard it.
Google's harvesting your.
Duck,
We're
Duck,
not
Goose.
sponsored
your
by
energy.
DuckDuck.
Duck Duck Goose.
But deep breathing, which we've all kind of heard of this, it's commonly pushed in sports. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, and then breathe out of your mouth like you're blowing through a straw.
Oh,
for
is that
6.
like box breathing? Is that what's it called?
So box breathing, it's basically same idea. It's just a different approach.
4 in, hold 4 out.
It's more you want to imagine a light going around a box, and while it's going across the top, you breathe in, breathe out when it's going down, breathe in when it's going to the side, breathe out when it's going back up.
Okay.
And you want to just move it slowly as you visualize that. Just like.
Whoa.
Which could become meditative.
It can.
Is that a word?
Yeah, it definitely can. What I'd really recommend doing at like night.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like laying in bed, hypothetically sleeping.
Oh yeah.
One, no screens.
Yup.
Not even with a blue light filter. The science behind that is not good. Dang. So no lights. If you need something, wordless music is ideal. Like lo-fi, chill beats to study to, classical music, but ideally something slower tempo.
I only play chill beats to study to.
Dude. Okay, not gonna lie, I've been really digging the sci-fi version, like Star Wars. I got into Star Wars.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a Cantina Band remix.
Nice.
It's so good.
Nice.
That's sick.
But yeah, just like stuff like that. And then just go to YouTube or whatever, and you can find videos of progressive muscle relaxation.
Okay.
Yes. And so in session, I have a script that I'll follow with this that I can read off of just to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you kind of close your eyes, relax your body, feel what it's like to be relaxed. You know, ideally sitting down or laying down. Start doing some nice slow breathing, just a little in, out.
So it's just like talking through pointers of like becoming
and then imagine
and feeling
in your body. Now, the first step is flex your feet, tighten them as hard as you can. With the closed eyes, you might like feel the heat kind of start to generate there. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can kind of see a light there. Okay, release. Feel that difference, you know, the tension versus the knot. Now go up to your calves, your thighs, your like gut, chest, arms, neck, face, and then the full body. So it just works through your body. And one that will actually help you recognize anxious emotions and stuff, because you'll start learning how to feel like tense.
Yeah.
What you feel like when you're tense, you will be able to distinguish that better, and that'll help you understand the physiological reactions.
Cool.
But to the releasing, and you really want to be cognizant of it. That's the thing. You really want to be thinking about it as you do it. But the releasing will make you feel relaxed, and as you do that, it's very meditative. It really relaxes the mind. It's something to focus on. That's not distracting in a bad way. And it'll help you go to sleep. So that's a second thing that you can do to help cope.
Nice. That's I at night I do deep breathing to try and go to sleep. It's usually the last, or like if I'm having trouble going to sleep, then I'm like, all right, I need to take some deep breaths.
Add progressive muscle relaxation. I
will do that.
It takes 10-15 minutes roughly, depending on like what the pace is and what video you select and stuff. But I'm not going to recommend a specific video. If you really need, look up Caleb Lack, Progressive Muscle Relaxation.
Okay.
That's
just
like
someone I trust.
Okay.
That's kind of like a body scan.
Yeah.
What they call a body scan meditation.
Yeah.
Or something
No, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, where you just start to feel, you know, like the different parts of your body. And it's weird, like you can feel, and another part of kind of body scan meditations, you can like feel your hands and then feel the shape of your hands, but you can also feel your hands in such a way to where they're just amorphous blobs of like warm sensation and pressure. And in fact, you can feel most of your body and like lose the shape
very
of it.
Formless almost.
Yeah. And so it's like, it's weird. You can do both.
Dang.
Like you can
like
feel like very
like
sensitive,
cheese?
like I can feel my pinky toe. But I don't know. Yeah, I just think that's kind of weird. Because all you're doing is really changing your mind, or like you're moving the spotlight of consciousness onto a different part. And even just with the type of awareness, like you can move it with one type of awareness and feel exactly your pinky toe, or you can move it with another type and just feel an amorphous blob that is your foot.
Right. Now I will say that's a level that I'm not saying you need to get to. I'm just saying, listen to this kind of almost ASMR-esque, which ASMRs don't really matter much, by the way. But they're just normally gotta be lighter because they're gonna help you go to sleep.
Eye dozers, though.
Dude,
eye
dozers.
We have
to do
tell
a
me about
whole
eye
episode.
dozers.
Well, I think
the
I
next
think,
episode when we talk about drugs. We
need to talk about eye dozers. Like, we should actually do eye dozers again. Should bust open the old. I don't know. What do you call it?
Gates of Hades.
Oh yeah,
that was
Dude,
the one.
Gates of Hades was
I might have
the
to come for
crazy
this
one. Yeah,
but
look up eye dozing. Yeah, and go crazy.
I bet. I want to look into that again. I wonder how much of that is BS now. I'm sure.
Dude,
Most of
last
it.
I checked, you had to like buy all of it. So I'm sure it's
Damn.
BS. Like it's like, and it was an obscene amount, but I'm sure we can like find some free versions. Watch it just like completely rupture our eardrums, because it's all just sound waves that are supposed to. Eye dozing is like tricking your brain into thinking that you're taking a or there's some kind of like
Frequency that.
yeah. For those that don't know. What
Okay,
that
that actually reminds me something.
I've never done one before, actually, but
maybe we should do it on a future episode.
Maybe.
Just to do it.
Yeah. Sorry. Did you have a question or something?
I was gonna go off topic.
Go
What's
for
that?
it.
You look.
I can. We can talk about this later.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead and talk about it.
Okay. Well, just I guess I feel like you're probably already satisfied with the answers I've given, but I just want to keep giving more answers to your question.
No, I mean, like, let's just like shoot some ones out.
So this is something I made called self-care cheat sheet. I made it for a professor was asking for like advice for the students, so I made this for kind of thing.
Self-care cheat sheet.
Yeah, because self-care is a great way to help deal with stress and stuff.
Yeah.
So one, like, make yourself a priority, because you gotta take care of yourself, or else you're just gonna fall apart. Even if that means maybe not worrying about friends or family for a minute. Yeah. Like, in case of a plane crash, you put your mask on before helping the person next to you.
Right.
This is the same.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, set goals and keep them very specific. Okay? Don't have like a general, I want to be healthier. Okay? Cool. Right. That's a great goal, but like, you're gonna fail that. Yeah. Not necessarily, but you know, it's easier to fail that than I will
eat a salad.
Yeah, I will have salad for one of my meals every day, or I will run a mile every day. Yeah. You know, something like that. And maybe that's a lot to start on, you know. Right. But like, make them specific and make sure they are obtainable. Mm-hmm. Don't be like, I'm going to run a marathon every day. Yeah. Like, no, you're not. Marathon runners aren't. Yeah. Okay, maybe some. I don't know. I don't run marathons. Yeah, I don't. But that's just
David Goggins could do that. Man.
You're not starting at that point, regardless. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. What else is there? But yeah. Establish strong boundaries. So, like, for yourself. So just kind of take time to think about
a boundary that we talked about earlier is like worrying time.
Yeah. That's one, but it can also just be with like how you're okay with being treated. Mm. You know, it's okay to be able to put your foot down and say no. It's okay to tell people, hey, I need my time to myself. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm further on that introvert of the scale. On the scale, I'm further on the introvert side. So like, I just don't want to hang out tonight because I need to be alone. Yeah. And I'm okay. Don't worry. Like, if you're okay, let them know you're okay. Right. Right. But yeah, let me see here. Try to pick like something that you enjoy ideally, but don't pick unhealthy things. And even like, let's say your goal was 30 minutes of working out a day or something, but you had a really busy day. If you don't have 30 minutes, some is better than none. Yeah. Still go for the 5. Still go for the 10. Yeah. You know, not every day has to be perfect. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
It's just a good general rule of thumb to have something that,
because if not, you'll start slacking off more and more and more.
Yeah.
And either way, you should, like, you can be proud of yourself for having like something I always try and remind myself is that the shitty workout or the bad meditation is actually the most important one, because that's the one when you would have otherwise not showed up, but you did show up, have a terrible time, and now the habit is still like established, and you can be all the more proud of yourself.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, to some extent, setting the boundaries comes in. If you know you're gonna go hang out with friends, and you have an assignment due, or you have work in the next day or whatever, know what time you need to get home by, what time you need to leave to get home by that time, and set that as a boundary.
Yeah.
So even if you just go see friends for like an hour or two instead of maybe 4 like you really wanted, that's fine.
That's crazy. My dad never told me this. This is rich.
What?
I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. This is like parent advice, but it's like I never got this.
Well, and it's something that a lot of people don't. I feel like our age, they don't get it. It's almost like it's like a offense to not like hang out or show up.
Or like if my parents would have been like, okay, you're gonna break the rules, but make sure that you still have your shit together after you break the rules. And don't ruin your life. Okay.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm saying. Be incremental about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like you are in a bad place right now and you would quantify yourself as a fuck up, that's okay. We all have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
Be a little bit less of a fuck up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then the next day be even a little bit less of a fuck up. And eventually you'll stop being a fuck up.
Yeah.
It's just a long, tedious... You're climbing a mountain. That's what mental health is. That's what good mental health is. Yeah. You are fucking climbing a never-ending mountain, and it's only gonna get harder every step.
Yeah.
I love that framing.
It also gets easier because you get proficient at climbing it.
Yeah.
So even when you fall down, it doesn't take you as long to get back up.
Yeah, life is definitely an uphill.
And at some point,
journey.
you might just set camp, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
and you're at least camp is a little higher than it was than the last camp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the real goal, it's not about big leaps or bounds. It's about consistency. Daily showing up and climbing that mountain 5 feet at a time.
And this goes back to like what I've already repeated. Habits of mind, and this is Ireland video right now.
Whoa.
Okay, that's racist.
Ireland's on the
okay.
just
on
whatever.
the TV.
Anyway,
just because I like it, it's Ireland, Austin.
It was the next one in the queue that came up.
I wish y'all could see these.
No, these are definitely the Emerald Hills, though. Like that looks like... I've never been to the Emerald Hills. I've never been to Ireland. But given the name, this is what I imagine.
There's a train. That's some Harry Potter shit.
Okay, so now, all right.
Yeah,
well,
sorry.
now I have to jump to the other thought I was thinking about.
Okay.
Talking about. I think that like this goes back to iDozers too, and a little bit of iDozers.
Okay.
What's up, Jana? Just standing in the
Dude,
background.
come chill. It's nice to watch, right?
That's cool. Well, I said this exact thing to her last night anyway.
Okay.
So like I think that there's gonna be like new crazy kinds of very specific content that people are gonna be making. Like right now we're watching drone footage of beautiful Ireland. But like people are gonna make like slow motion, like study beats with weird effects, like versions of like video content and stuff like that, or just like iDozer-esque like content where people are just tapping into like really specific feelings and imagery and aesthetics, and just like trying to craft like video experiences. And I don't know, I think that's a thing.
I mean, I would agree. Like, people are trying to fill up their time with something.
That's true.
And also, there's just always some portion of humanity that will pursue the arts. And that's ultimately what that is. Arts, it's creating something that does not currently exist in the world.
And it's like relatable to, or it resonates in some kind of way.
Yeah.
But
so like, yeah, I definitely think that always exists. And I think it, to some extent, always has existed.
It's just different.
Just that, at least that pursuit.
Yeah.
So we're just we're hitting an advancement time because there's not much else we can do right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I mean, I think you guys are a good example starting this podcast. Like, and you have on Vinny's stuff, and you guys have in your podcast.
yeah.
Like things are getting rolling
Yeah.
that I don't know if you would have done had the pandemic not occurred.
Dude, yeah, this definitely birthed because of the pandemic. Or
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
pandemic, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you can, like when everything changes,
Mm-hmm.
and like I always gotta be, especially like I said, I'm not super social, but having these kinds of conversations, it's really important, and just feeling like I'm doing something, I'm making something, because life is dull, especially during the pandemic, and like I've been in school just like on my fucking computer every day.
Yes, sir.
And that's cool. It's a blessing. I'm very happy and blessed with
No,
what I have, and
it's
all
great
that,
to have that
oh, man.
ability and opportunity to, but at the same time, the walls of your house get old very quickly.
Yeah, I bet. And then the ceiling gets old, and then the carpet.
I started with the floor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, if I'm being honest, I'm looking down when I cry.
Yeah. Have you boys cried in 2021 yet?
Yeah.
Not from sadness.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember what I cried for.
I didn't ask you if you cried from sadness. Okay. Don't need to know that. It's intimate. I did cry from sadness, so you know.
Okay.
I think I cried
It was
from
good.
a TV show.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
Was
don't
it-
remember anything about
Was it
it.
Mr. Ratburn's gay wedding?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Now that you say
He
that,
finally picked up the
Yep.
Arthur that he
yeah,
had to stop
Yeah.
watching that 2 years ago.
it's such a beautiful episode.
Nice.
um,
I love just like crying to stuff for no reason. Like if you feel when you're watching something and you're like, I could cry right now. I didn't know this would make me feel that way, but
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm in a
No.
place where I could cry.
crying's
But
nice.
I could also not cry.
I usually know when I'm about to cry of something. I see the beginning part for me at least, and then I'm like, oh shit, oh what do I do? Oh no.
To answer your question, though, I don't think I actually have cried this year yet. Granted, that's only 16 days, so
Yeah.
not a large.
I'm about to cry just thinking that it's only been 16 days into January. It feels like it's been 16 months.
The year and or third, whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like it's almost 2023.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been recording this podcast for 16 months,
Yeah.
bro.
I'm sorry, I'm boring you.
No, you're not boring me. I'm having
the
a great
opposite
time.
because we're going for
Just-
so long.
Honestly, and I'm like the really wild ideas and topics are starting to sprout out of my mind. So we should really stop unless we want to go cosmic. Really
Okay,
quick.
Well, we
hold
could
on.
definitely
Hold
save.
on.
We could definitely save that, like exploring psychology and the cosmic era of it, for another episode with you.
All right, so
If you'd like.
let me think here for a
It's like
second.
cosmic era. That sounds.
Wait,
No,
I
that sounds
thought
pretty
that's what you
badass.
said.
Honestly.
I mean, yeah.
I said
in a way.
cosmic brownie.
Cosmic brownie.
So
Whoa.
yeah, that's what I said.
So
Dude.
a couple
forgot about
things
this.
that I would like to say before
Yeah.
wrapping this up. At
Yeah,
least.
yeah, yeah. Any closing thoughts?
I hope I made sense, and I hope what I was saying was actually interesting. Two, not everything I said was necessarily super science based, but it was. I operate from
Nothing here is.
yeah.
Nothing.
But well,
is
it's like
based
so.
here at
I
There's none
operate
of
from
that
what's
here.
called a cognitive behavioral therapy standpoint, which is the most empirically validated type of therapy. I still see value in others types. Okay, I'm not saying CBT is all or none, but a lot of that was CBT inspired stuff. But to be honest, I don't have the references and everything memorized. I didn't study for this.
right.
You
You're
know,
still in school
so I'm just
too,
talking
so,
about the
like,
knowledge that I know this stuff to be true, both
Yeah.
through personal experience and from literature reviewing
mhm.
or reviewing the literature. But I can't tell you exactly when or where it was published, but and by who,
Right.
or like who wrote it. So don't necessarily just take everything I say as fact. I welcome you guys to wrestle with it and challenge it. But if you are wanting therapy, first, therapy is not for people who are broken. It can help people who, quote unquote, are broken, but it is beneficial for all. That is scientifically valid.
Mhm.
Secondly, when searching for a therapist, do not go to someone who specializes in 15 different things. I know it sounds a little hypocritical given that I just said I specialize in CBT, but see value in a lot of different ones. But the thing is, I say I specialize in CBT and not CBT plus all these other things because most of my training is CBT, so most of my approach will function CBT.
Right.
I have some training in narrative and stuff, and God, I hated that paper, honestly, which was my own fault. I waited 2 weeks to write an 80-page paper.
Dang.
Or until I had 2 weeks to write an 80-page paper.
Pages?
Something like that. Technically, it was more, but I had to delete a fair bit of chunk. Like, it just did not tie in well. But hey, got the B.
There you go.
It worked. My arms hated me for about 2 months.
Dang.
My forearms. I didn't play Melee for like 2 months because of that.
Dang.
But yeah, don't go to someone who specializes in 15 different things. Go to someone who specializes in a handful maybe, but not too many. Make sure that they are licensed. There's a lot of non-licensed therapists out there. If you are struggling with depression or anxiety specifically, CBT is probably going to be your best bet.
Okay.
Or sleep problems.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT.
Yes, sorry.
Not to get mixed up with CBD, which might also help.
CBD water.
CBT plus CBD.
I would not recommend
CBD
CBD or cannabis in any way, shape, or form to treat mental issues like anxiety or depression. I do not think is a good coping.
Hey, that could be for the next episode.
I just don't think that's a good coping mechanism.
We could talk about even psychedelics and coping with things.
Yeah, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drugs or alcohol necessarily. Just don't use them for coping.
Right.
But so cognitive behavioral therapy, it's about 90% effective for people with depression and or anxiety, which are highly comorbid, which means they commonly one breeds the other, or they have a lot of similarities. So if that specifically is what you're dealing with, highly recommend looking for a therapist. And if there's a master's program for counseling or a doctorate program for counseling near you, much like my university, other universities could have their own clinics that operate at cheaper levels for those with lower incomes.
So it's like
not
going to haircutting
it.
School.
Kind of. Yeah.
Like
that's a great example, like great comparison, actually. Still have to abide by HIPAA, at least we did, and all that type of stuff. And I'm currently doing like internships, so like I'm actually seeing clients. I'm not an inexperienced all academic person. Last semester I did over 300 hours of counseling work.
Wow.
Not like all seeing people.
Yeah.
Because like there's a lot of note writing and stuff like that. And research. Like this is something I made.
Oh wow.
It's for helping people learn how to effectively communicate with others.
Okay.
And it's I don't know. That's a good.
It's pretty hefty, yo.
Yeah, like
big old chunk.
And I didn't make it all raw. Like there's a lot of resources I just pulled together to compile it. But that's part of what I do. And looking up literature to validate it and stuff, you know. So that's just kind of what I want to say. Like, get help. It's not bad on you. That's a good thing to get help if you need it. And just don't go to someone who's saying they do 50 things, because the reason they're saying that is because they're not good enough to keep clients. Also, the goal of therapy, in my personal opinion, should always be to get you to a point where you are the therapist. Like, we're there to help you learn skills.
Yeah.
And once you learn those skills and you've accomplished whatever you want to accomplish, we either reevaluate the goals of therapy to something different, or we should end.
Well, and that goes back to like you have to take responsibility for the stuff in your head. And like, even if you go to the therapist, that's not just a cure-all solution.
Right.
You can just flip that on and not like it's actually a process of taking responsibility for it, learning how to cope.
Exactly. And with sleep difficulties, I do not recommend taking melatonin long term. It worsens them.
It's outside
sleep
your
problems.
expertise, bro. You should watch it. No, I'm not that I suggest that, but I'm just saying, you know.
Is it
Melatonin? I don't know. That's neurochemical.
We have to be educated on that.
Dang.
Psychopharmacology is a
Checkmate.
class required for my degree.
Checkmate,
I didn't even know what it was
Gustin.
called. Oh, shit. I just got exposed.
Additionally, SSRIs, which are like mood stabilizers commonly used for as antidepressants, for people with depression, tend to worsen depressive symptoms after about 6 months of usage, or can as early as 6 months, I should say. Tend to worsen after prolonged usage, which that varies from person to person. But so if you're on SSRIs, I'm not telling you that's bad, especially if you're suicidal or something that's a necessity.
Yeah.
But I would encourage you to look for a therapist, if you don't already have one, to help you learn to acquire the skills to where you don't need SSRIs or don't need as much SSRIs.
Gotcha.
Just betterment for yourself. But again, there's nothing wrong with taking medicine. If that's where you're at, that's where you're at.
Yeah.
And just be honest with yourself there.
Yeah, it's a
That's
case
fine.
by case
Yeah.
thing. Everyone's
Just don't
different.
default to them without thinking is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say
Cool.
in terms of that. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on.
totally. That was
Of
cool.
course.
We could probably cut it here. My ass hurts really bad.